everyone. We are here in we're here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Super excited to be here because this is really a truly amazing track. The sun is shining, we've got blue skies. We also have spectators, but not only on the grandstands, but also in the paddock. The first time since 2019, so we're super excited about that. And the man who's leading the championship is Sheldon Van Der Linde, and the man who's the local matador, the man who's Austrian, is Lukas Auer. He's already sitting in the car, probably focusing on the qualifying, which is about to begin in just a minute. And he's had 5 wins in his DTM career, but this year he hasn't won yet. So hopefully, being here in Austria, his fans are going to support him truly, and that might motivate him especially. So Lukas Auer, all the best for the qualifying. So let's get started. Here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Good morning, everybody. Welcome along to this fantastic venue. It's brilliant to be here. It's one of my favourite places to travel in the world. And as you can see from the wide shot here, if you've never been to the Red Bull Ring, we are surrounded by beautiful natural landscape here. That's in the heart of Styria, the natural region here with mountainous areas, vineyards, and nature aplenty. So around about 16,000 square kilometres. It's the second biggest state in Austria, and it is absolutely beautiful. And this undulating and historic circuit, which first had its history dating back to the 1950s at the very nearby military airfield in Zaltweg, which was first used for racing in this area. I drove past it actually on the way to my hotel last night. It's, the town of Zaltweg's about 5 kilometres from the track now, but the old airfield's only a couple of kilometres away. You can still see it from this new circuit, and that's where racing started in this part of the world before a permanent circuit, the Österreich-Ring as it was back then in the late 1960s, was first built.
Engine off. Copy.
And their team radio from Marco Wittmann, one of the key championship protagonists after the first half of the season. The former double champion now moving up into 3rd place in the championship standings. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm going to be talking you through all of the qualifying and race sessions this weekend. And it is the second half of the 2021 season. We've had 4 rounds complete. We've got 4 rounds to go. 8 races remain in the championship. And as Verena said, Shelton Van Der Linde, the points leader, 129 points, 33 points clear of Max Gotts, who's on 96 and second. Marco Wittmann, as I mentioned, is third. He's only 2 points behind Max Gotts on 94 and 35 behind the championship leader. And after picking up his first ever win in the DTM in his first season, Alex Albon, 4th in the championship now on 82 points, with Liam Lawson, who had a pointless weekend at the Nürburgring. 0 points scored in Germany last time out. 80 points he remains on and is 5th in the championship. However, as you look at Liam now, it's all looking a bit brighter here at this circuit because he was very quick yesterday. It was a story of Italian manufacturers yesterday, really, because we had a Lamborghini quickest in the first practice session, and we had the Ferrari of Liam Lawson quickest in the second session. Jochen Rindt, world-famous name, the only driver to win the Formula 1 World Championship posthumously. One of the corners here at the Red Bull Ring, named after the Austrian great. And now we've got Dev Gore back in action this weekend. He had to sit out the previous weekend at the Nürburgring, was replaced by Christopher Haas, but the young American driver back here for his first taste of DTM at the Red Bull Ring. So yesterday in free practice 1, a newcomer to the grid, Maximilian Paul, who's in what's now the 3rd of the T3 Motorsports run at Lamborghinis, was quickest of all. Quick on a single lap pace and very quick on a longer run as well. He banged in lots of quick lap times. But it is worth noting, as said yesterday, that if you come into DTM, your first weekend in DTM, you get 5 sets of new slick tyres. After that, you only get 3. So he had a couple of extra sets of new tyres than everybody else has got coming into the weekend, which means he could use some of those, or at least 1 set of those, in practice yesterday, whereas everybody else has to save their tyres, really, for today and tomorrow, because you have 3 sets of slicks, 3 sets of Michelins, which you have to make last for 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. So we saw at the Nürburgring that Michael Ammermuller, who came in as a guest driver, was very quick on the new tyres in free practice. He did go quicker during qualifying on the Saturday morning, but everybody else went a lot quicker, like more than a second quicker, once they bolted the new tyres on, and he slipped down the order. So it could be a different story here, but still very impressive drive from Maximilian yesterday. Just 21 years of age, and only been car racing for 3 seasons. all of that time in the ADAC GT Masters Championship with T3 Motorsport, which is competing with them again this year in the Lamborghini. But takes the Lamborghini, puts Michelin tyres onto it and comes into the DTM. So the German driver, Maximilian Paul, quickest in free practice 1 yesterday. Alex Albon in the Ferrari was second in that first free practice session. And Nico Müller third, Arjun Maini fourth, Liam Lawson fifth, and Sheldon Van Der Linde sixth in the second free practice session, which was slightly quicker in the middle of the afternoon yesterday. Liam Lawson, who not just, again, quick over 1 lap, was quick over several laps. Set the best time of the day, 1:29.275 seconds. Maximilian Paul was up there again, second place in the Lamborghini. Max Gotts was third. Vincent Abrol fourth, Philip Ellis fifth, and Marco Wittmann got into the top 6 in the second free practice session yesterday as well. Whether that will all pan out into a similar tale today in qualifying remains to be seen. It was a foggy start to the day. It's only just lifted, really, the fog around about 15-20 minutes ago. Very funky shot there. Daniel Hunkerdale leaving. He's one of the drivers who's been on pole position here at the Red Bull Ring before. And, well, crossed the line first, but was penalised in the race when we were last here in 2018 with DTM 3 years ago. So he's got sort of bittersweet memories of this circuit, but the Spaniard, he picked up his first podium in that number 8 pink Gruppe M Racing Mercedes. Picked up his first podium of the season at Nürburgring last time out. We'll be looking to kick on here in the second half of the season. So best time yesterday, 1:29.275 seconds, but it's cooler today. It's earlier in the day than we were running the practice sessions yesterday. It was around about 19 degrees when they were practicing yesterday. It's not quite 12 degrees at the moment, the air temperature. And the track temperature is a completely different beast, because yesterday it was up at about 40 degrees, just over 40 degrees. It's only 16 degrees the track temperature at the moment, so setup changes may be required. Kelvin van der Linde carrying all the onboard cameras this weekend, the championship leader in the number 3 Abt Sportsline Audi. Controversial moment last time out at the Nürburgring, where he picked up his first non-finish, his first non-points scoring round of the season after contact with Liam Lawson. Liam, who'd suffered a puncture earlier in the race, was trying to come back through the field. Tried a move on Kelvin van der Linde. The pair made contact, and on the outside of them, Mike Rockenfeller, Abt Sportsline teammate to Kelvin van der Linde, was sent into a spin. Both of the Abt Sportsline Audis straight into the pits and into retirement. Liam Lawson picked up another big puncture when he got hit from behind, and it was another tale of woe for the New Zealander, but he's really been looking strong so far this weekend. On board with Marco Wittmann, Sheldon Van Der Linde trying to set early benchmark times here. Sector 2 time for Sheldon's a 41.2, but yesterday we were down into the low 39s in that sector, so it's not going to be a flying lap as yet, even though it's registering as best sector time so far. But on the next lap, I think that we'll get proper competitive times. So yeah, 1:32 for Sheldon Van Der Linde on his first attempt, but it's the next lap where he'll be looking to push on, or maybe even the lap after that. News from free practice yesterday. Esteban Moot had technical issues. There were no more details from the team, but technical issues which meant he missed all of free practice 1. Esme Hawkey also missed the back end of free practice 1. She had some damage to her Lamborghini, so had to cut the session short. And she had a few technical problems in the second session as well, but was confident they knew what the problem was, they'd be able to get it sorted. And in free practice 2, after going well in free practice 1, the Indian driver Arjun Maini, now a points finisher in the DTM, after a great weekend at the Nürburgring, he had to miss the second free practice session because of an engine issue. So engine issue for Arjun Maini, putting him out of free practice 2. Nico Müller also, who gone well in the first free practice session. He went out for free practice 2, but wasn't particularly quick, and he also had technical issues. No further details on that, but technical issues which hampered him. And Esteban Moot got out for the second free practice session, but said that they were struggling with the handling of the car for the young Belgian driver. Right, Max Gotts. Now, Timo Glock's lap is the one that looks good here, because that middle sector, which is a long sector here, it's almost half the lap, even though the lap is divided into 3. That middle sector is the longest one, and 39.2 is a really competitive time. 22.4 is not bad either. So this could be the first 1:29 of the session, maybe a low 1:30. Timo, who picked up his first points of the season at the Nürburgring, waiting for him to come over the line. Philip Ellis' best time so far, 1:32.3, putting him to the top of the times. But there you go, first proper time of the session, 1:29.493 for Timo Glock. And that's a good effort. That's only a couple of tenths slower than yesterday's best time. And Marco Wittmann goes second, although that's not a massively quick lap, 1:30.7. But Max moved to the top of the times, 1:29.066. That is the fastest lap of the weekend so far. So the new tyres now kicking in, despite the cooler track temperatures. Liam Lawson goes into the 1:28s, 1:28.648. He has looked on fine form so far this weekend. The Ferrari, both of the Ferraris handling well. So Lawson quickest, 1:28.648. Book second, 1:29.066. Alex Albon goes into third, 1:29.162. But only briefly, because Esteban Moots, who had a quiet day yesterday, frustrating day, has gone third, 1:29.162. That's a good first sector for Sheldon Van Der Linde. A better first sector, though, for Marco Wittmann. So Wittmann, who's behind on the lap, a good start to the lap. Sector 1 only takes in the first 2 turns and ends before you get to the top of the hill and to the hairpin. So it's not the be-all and end-all. Sectors 2 and 3, the ones you've really got to nail to get the lap right. Kelvin van der Linde in the number 3. Audi is out on track. And Vincent Abril has got himself into second place with a 1:28.975 now. So 0.3 of a second, the difference between Liam Lawson and Vincent Abril. And Sheldon Van Der Linde goes into the 1:28s as well. Fastest time of the weekend now, 1:28.623. So that puts him on provisional pole position. Sheldon looked like he was going to get a great result at Nürburgring. Come back to that because Lucas Auer, the Austrian driver, 1:28.506 finds time. Marco Wittmann started the lap well, but backs off. Can he get another run at it? And what about Liam Lawson? 38.7 in the middle sector. And that's the fastest time as the Ferrari goes over the line, back to provisional pole position. We're pushing towards the 1:27s here, so what a difference the tyres have made now. We've got the fresh slicks on, 1:28.094 seconds. Alex Albon looking to go with him on the front row of the grid. Into second place he goes. And Van der Linde started his next lap well as well. Marco Wittmann, though, brilliant first sector, 22.1 seconds. That's a tenth or so quicker than the best we've seen through there. So Marco Wittmann on a push lap, Sheldon Van Der Linde on a strong lap as well. Wittmann's back in 17th at the moment, but there's more pace to come in the BMW, which looked pretty strong in the second free practice session yesterday. It's a decent first 2 sectors for Philip Ellis as well. Might not be the absolute best, but it's going to put him perhaps higher up than 6th, which is where he is now. Sheldon Van Der Linde, second sector is not the absolute best, but it's pretty good at 39.3 seconds. Wittmann is quicker, though, through the first 2 sectors. So Marco Wittmann pushing up towards the top of the times. We'll wait for the Volkenhorst BMW to come through out of turns 9 and 10, which were big areas for track limits warnings yesterday. Drivers had to be very careful there. Timo Glock's come back up to 4th with a 1:28.594. And then Max Gotts into second, 1:28.229 seconds. Marco Wittmann into third as he crosses the line with that first charging lap. 1:28.497 seconds on board with the 2014-2016 champion now. And he attacks on the way out of turn 1, climbing the hill. Turn 2 taken flat out, and then it's down to first gear when they get to the top of the hill, which is where Liam Lawson is now, through the hairpin. As you ride on board with him, Esteban Moots on another good lap here. He's about to come through and get himself, I think, a bit higher up the order, possibly. No, not quite. Didn't quite work out for him. So it's Lawson quickest, the only driver into the 1:27s, 1:27.8. It's a second and a half quicker than the best time from free practice yesterday. Max got second, 1:28.229. Alex Albon, 1:28.4 is third. That's actually quite a big gap from first to third, isn't it? 0.6 of a second. 0.6 of a second would normally cover about 10 cars in qualifying. So Liam Lawson with a mega lap there. 2 very good laps, actually, but the second one, brilliant, 1:27.851. He's had a personal best through the first sector as well. So getting several laps out of these tyres. Cool-down lap for Liam Lawson, but he's pushing on. Philip Ellis didn't improve in the end on that last lap we were watching, even though it was personal best to start with. So Philip has actually dropped down to 10th now, as others have improved in what's been a fairly frenetic first 10 minutes of this 20-minute qualifying session. 3 points available if you get pole position, 2 if you qualify second, and a championship point for qualifying third, which can make all the difference so far in qualifying. Kelvin van der Linde, the championship leader, has been king. He's been the best qualifier on average so far, and has picked up the most qualifying points as well. So lots of the cars now heading back in, with at the halfway stage Lawson in the Ferrari on top, Gotts in the Mercedes, the driver second in the championship, second best, but nearly 4/10 behind. Albon had a good first session yesterday, but damaged the car with an after getting a puncture yesterday in free practice 2, is third. So Ferrari's first and third. Marco Wittmann in the BMW is fourth. And then Lucas Auer in the Mercedes fifth. Arjun Maini into the top 6 as well, despite missing half the practice session yesterday. He's 6th in his Mercedes. Timo Glock is 7th for BMW. Sheldon Van Der Linde 8th for BMW. Daniel Hunkedare in the Mercedes 9th. Kelvin Van Der Linde pops into 8th place, running slightly out of sequence with everybody else. I heard him on the team radio yesterday saying he was struggling a little bit with the balance of the car in the early part of free practice 1, but they got it tuned in a bit more. A couple of drivers, Marco Wittmann included, saying the cars were oversteering a bit, so the front end was digging into him. Actually, the back end was going a little bit loose through the high-speed turns in the middle of the lap, through, in particular, that downhill roller coaster run through the infield at turns 6 and 7. Personal best again through sector 1. It's not the absolute best. It's a couple of tenths or so down through that first sector. If you can get a low 39 through the middle sector, though, this could be good news for him. He's going to be right at the top, but he's certainly going to climb above 8th if he can keep this lap going. He's got the track to himself. It's the only car on track at the moment, Kelvin Van Der Linde. It's the championship leader, pushing on. He's had 3 pole positions so far this season. He's picked up 11 points just from qualifying during the course of the year, and it's a 38.8 through sector 2. So this is a good lap. We'll be looking for a low 27-second run through this final turn at turns 8 and 9 and 10. Turn 10, downhill approach, curbs on the way in. Careful not to get all 4 wheels over the curbs, which is catching some of them out yesterday, but you've got to carry the speed, you've got to let it run through, and he's third. So that's a good effort. Third place, 128.337. He'll be free of success ballast in the race later on as well, having picked up that DNF. It's the one advantage it has. The top 3 from the previous race carry extra weight on the cars for the next race. 25 kilograms if you win a race, 18 for second and 15 for third. So, yeah, the winner of race 2, Alex Albon, will have a heavier Ferrari for the race. He'll have 25 kilograms on board. Having finished second in that race, Daniel Hunkedare will have to carry 18 kilograms. Having finished third last time out, Marco Wittmann will have 15 kilograms added to his BMW. It doesn't come into play for qualifying, but it will be added for the race. So cars heading back out. 7 minutes or so left on the clock. Liam Lawson, who really has an important weekend here to get himself back in the championship fight. He's 49 points adrift. But potentially you can pick up 50 points if you win both races, which nobody's achieved so far this season. We've had different winners on each day at DTM. And you can pick up another potential 6 points if you qualify on pole for both races. So the gap is certainly not insurmountable. Kelvin Van Der Linde, the driver that's won most races this year, won a race at Monza on his 25th birthday. He won at Zolder race 1 and Nürburgring race 1 as well. So 3 wins for him. And then the next 5 drivers in the championship table have all had 1 win apiece. Max Scotts, Marco Wittmann, Alex Albon, Liam Lawson and Philippe Ellis. We've had 10 different drivers on the podium so far this year as well. It was a wide open first half of the season. Qualifying always important, but Lucas Auer, who knows the circuit well, said that yesterday in the press conference before the second free practice session, he believed that overtaking was definitely possible.
I had, guys. That was really everything I had.
Copy. It was a really good lap. You are almost reference in sector 2. Obviously, we know what happened in sector 1. We are lacking because of BOP, but it's really good, Kellen.
Copy, guys.
So, Kelvin Van Der Linde, all I could get out of the car, he says there. That was it. I can't go any quicker. 128.337. That's almost half a second slower than Liam Lawson, who is fastest. It's only a tenth slower than Max Scotts in second. It's a really big advantage at the moment for Liam Lawson. The average gap this year in qualifying between the top 2 has been 1.5 tenths of a second. The biggest gap we had so far was in the second weekend of the season at the Lausitzring, which was 0.394 seconds, so slightly bigger than the gap we've got now, but we've had several sessions where it's been down to thousandths of a second, 22 thousandths of a second. At Zolder was the smallest gap we've had in qualifying 1 between the top 2, so that's a pretty big advantage on what's one of the shorter laps on the track calendar as well. Speaking of which, as we wait for the cars to get back up to speed, yesterday the announcement coming through from DTM of a provisional calendar for the 2022 season, which is great news, and a new venue on the calendar to start the season on the 29th of April through to the 1st of May, that weekend, heading to Portugal, to Portimão and the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve for a first time there for DTM. Lawson in May. And then 2 events in June, venues to be determined, but dates set. Norris Ring at the start of July, where we're going at the end of the season this year. Shelton Van Der Linde out of the car. Is he not going to go back in then? Is that it for Kelvin? Look after the tyres maybe. If he doesn't feel he can go any quicker, it might be a sensible thing to do, save the tyres for the race. And then after the Norris Ring, Nürburgring at the end of August. We're going back to Spa, where we started last season, and that's going to be the middle weekend of September. Delighted to say we're back here at the Red Bull Ring at the end of September next year, and Hockenheim, as is usually the case, although it's not this year, will be the season finale for 2022 on the 8th and 9th of October. So the calendar, provisional calendar, coming out early for next season. Drivers asked yesterday in the press conference about those circuits where there's a gap at the moment, those 2 dates in June where the circuit is to be determined. Where would you like it to be? And Esteban Muda, of course, said, well, Zolder, then I haven't got far to go and I'll have 2 home races, but I'm not sure that'll be the case with Spa already on. Monza was mentioned, Mugello was mentioned as well by, I think Alex Albon mentioned he'd like to go there. Daniel Hungadea said Monza. Zandvoort was also mentioned as a place to go, and 2 drivers, Lucas Auer's one of them, mentioned that very much like to go to Macau if that was possible. So we'll see, but great news that it's going to be a slightly prolonged calendar as well. 9 rounds, 6 different countries at the moment, and 18 races next season. Right, Max Buch has just made an improvement, but it's only up into 12th place. Yesterday's fastest time in free practice would now only put you 18th on the grid. That's the difference that putting these new tyres on has made. And for the driver that benefited from the newer tyres yesterday, Maximilian Paul, first and second in the free practice session, but only 16th at the moment, despite the fact he's gone 0.4 of a second quicker than he managed yesterday. So it's super competitive out there. It's very tightly packed from 4th down to 11th. There's only 0.3 of a second. But the gap at the top, very big as it stands for Liam Lawson, the 19-year-old, who's been good in qualifying so far this season as well, his first year in DTM. A Formula 2 racer with a busy campaign in F2 and DTM this year. He's not been on pole position, but front row of the grid at Monza, front row of the grid at the Lawson Ring, and he's averaged 5th on the grid this season. Qualifying was a bit of a head-scratcher for the AF Corse team for the last couple of rounds. His best was 7th, but he's 3 of his last 4 qualifyings, 10th, 11th and 11th, and that's what's been getting him into trouble, really. When you're in the middle of the pack for the start of the race, you can get into trouble. So if they get qualifying right, then, and back to the sort of form they showed at the start of the season, then he's in a good position, Liam Lawson. And as I said yesterday, he put in some long runs and some good lap times over longer runs as well, which bodes well for the races. Philip Ellis goes 3rd, 128.251. And also, Arjun Maini improves, 128.360. Marco Wittmann finds time as well, 128.311. Abrel's on a good lap. Gotts is on a good middle sector. 128.4 for Abrel puts him up to 8th place. Liam Lawson not yet pushing. He's had a steady lap, Liam Lawson, but it's not going to be his best. But is he saving it for the final run with just 45 seconds left on the clock? A 128.1 for Max Gotts on that lap. 128.122 is his best lap of the session, but he's still second. He has got the gap down, though, to 0.271 seconds. Alex Albon, decent first sector, very good middle sector. Arjun Maini's on the pace as well at the start of the lap through the first 2 turns, 22.3. It's only a couple of tenths away from the very best that we've seen so far. Alex Albon's had a good middle sector. The last sector, though, falls away a little bit, 129.8, but he'll get another lap out of it with 10 seconds to go. And what about Shelton Van Der Linde? Looked like he might get on a podium at the Nürburgring. The safety car came out. He pitted at the right time, just before that safety car, and got into 2nd place. And then suddenly the car pulled off the road. Subsequently, turned out to be damage to the wheel that caused him to retire from what was potentially a really good race, Sheldon Van Der Linde, as the checkered flag comes out. That was after contact with another car earlier on. So we're going to see some late improvements here. Arjun Maini up to third place, 128.240. Vanson Abril, the last improver, and Esme Hawke improved that to 17th. One of the many drivers that have had lap times taken away for track limits. Sheldon Van Der Linde, the one to watch, though. Where can he pop himself up to here? He comes through 128.241 seconds for Sheldon. Best BMW is up to fourth place with that, just behind Arjun Maini. But Alex Albon isn't finished. Remember, he crossed the line with 10 or 11 seconds to go, so he's virtually going to be the last one across the line here. And he's on a good lap, 22.3 through the first sector, 38.8 through the second sector. This should be good enough if he can hold it together for a top 3 or 4. Depends how well it goes to the final run of turns. Paul is on a decent lap as well, but Albon is the one to watch. Checkered flag coming. We wait for the number 23, AlphaTauri. Of course, Ferrari to come through. Somebody goes well wide in the background, but Alex Albon comes through. Where's the lap going to put him? 6, not quite as high as I thought it would be. So he goes through, and it was Paul that went off. It was the Lamborghini who was on his push lap there that went off through the last turn, and you saw it in the background as Albon went for the line. And Maximilian Paul ends the session in the gravel trap and in the barriers in the Lamborghini, and what was looking like his best lap of the session, but he'll have to start down in 16th place. That was a pretty high speed off there. He just understeered and went straight on. Now, whether he got a problem with the car or he just carried too much speed remains to be found out. Hopefully he's okay, but that was a high speed off right at the end of the session. But it is Liam Lawson that gets himself pole position here at the Red Bull Ring. And after yesterday's performance, I have to say that is not a massive surprise. He looked on the pace all day yesterday, and he picks up his maiden pole position in the DTM at his 9th attempt. And Liam Lawson signals the message to his rivals that, you know, I might be down in 5th place in the championship, but don't forget about me. I've still got a chance to come through. And there's the best news of all, that Maximilian Paul has got out of the car and looks to be absolutely fine. He walks away from the car himself. So, no, I'm sure he'll be damaged to the Lamborghini, but the driver inside is the most important thing, and he's okay. So cars heading back in. Liam Lawson starting the race on pole position and free of success ballast. And by almost 0.3 of a second, he holds the advantage over Max Gotts, who will start on the front row of the grid. And then and he'll be free of ballast as well after a couple of 4th place finishes at the Nürburgring. And great effort as well for Arjun Maini, especially after missing that second free practice session yesterday and valuable track time. He picks up his best qualifying position of the season so far. Previous best was 6th on the grid at the Lausitz Ring, but 3rd on the grid for Arjun Maini. Let's see if you can add to the points he picked up at the Nürburgring. Sheldon Van Der Linde, good efforts as well in 4th place. So Sheldon Van Der Linde, the driver that was on pole position the second weekend of the season, gets one of his best qualifyings of the year in 4th. There is the list. There are the gaps. Lawson, Gotts, Maini and Van Der Linde. I've mentioned Philip Ellis in 5th place. Alex Albon, who will have a heavy car with 25 kilograms of ballast on board for the race, starts in 6th. Marco Wittmann will have ballast as well, starting in 7th. Kelvin Van Der Linde didn't go out for the second part of the session, saved the tyres. He couldn't go any quicker, so 8th place in the Audi, but almost half a second adrift on the times. Vanson Abril in 9th, and Maximilian Buch rounding out the top 10, all pretty tight in the times, apart from the gap from 1st to 2nd, really. Daniel Hagedeo, I think, will be a bit disappointed with 11th. He looked pretty good yesterday, but 11th it will be. Lucas Auer, likewise, in 12th. Timo Glock, well, he came from 20th to get in the points at the Nürburgring, so we'll see what he can do here. But big smiles.
I need to take my earplugs out. Hold on.
Big smiles for Liam Lawson, who's getting ready for lots of media efforts now. We'll hopefully hear from him as well. Takes the pole position and starts the weekend in perfect fashion. Also worth noting that he'll get 3 championship points for that, of course, and they will be very valuable points. Here's a replay then. In the background, you'll see the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini just basically going straight on. There's quite a bit of runoff there before you get to the gravel trap. So it'll knocked a bit of speed off. He sent it into a spin. So I think, looking at that angle, he would have gone into the barriers sideways. But hopefully the runoff area and the gravel trap took off a lot of the speed. And that was the best news of all, Max getting out of the car. And okay, having been very impressive yesterday. All smiles as well for Arjun Maini, a history maker, the first ever Indian in DTM, and to score points. Can he get some silverware? 3rd on the grid. He's got a very good chance. 128.240, only just a tiny bit slower than Max Gotts, who's 2nd in the championship. So great effort by Get Speed after his engine issues yesterday. Liam Lawson will now actually move into 4th place in the championship, ahead of his teammate Alex Albon, because he'll pick up those 3 points for pole position. That'll put him on to 83, 1 more than Alex Albon. So he's already moving up the championship table before we've got to the start of the race. Max Scotts will pick up 2 points. That will move him on to 98. So he'll be 31 points behind Vandalinda going into this afternoon's race. And Arjun Maini will pick up his first qualifying points of the year. So 3 points to add to the 2 he scored at Nürburgring. He's on to 5 points now. Then your top 3, Liam Lawson in the middle, Max Scotts to the left, and Arjun Maini to the right. 3 very happy drivers here at the Red Bull Ring. Heading now to do press duties. They'll, after that, be straight down to the teams to analyse all the data. It's a fairly quick turnaround before we go racing this afternoon at just after 1:30. Right, let's hear then from some of our drivers down with Verena Vries.
I've got Maxi Götz here, who's starting in P2. And since you're the second in the championship, I guess the main important thing is that Sheldon Van Der Linde is P8, so he's way far behind. And now maybe in the race you can really pick up some valuable points.
Yes, of course. So this was the target and the goal, to be honest, to be in front of Kellen. It was not to expect that Kellen is on P8 and I'm P2. I thought he's closer, but in the end it was a tight qualifying, and we brought everything together in the lap, which was very important. So Liam in front. He's also fighting for championship, so it's going to be interesting. And there is a little guys between us, or some guys between us, which are not involving at the moment in the championship. So it's a good backup and a good buffer for me to get solid points today, maybe.
And also the sun is shining. I mean, I love this track. I'm pretty sure you love this track too. And we've got spectators in the grandstands, but also in the paddock. Finally again. So how is that?
Yeah, finally. So it was nice going out this morning and seeing the guys up there and on the grandstands. It's an amazing feeling, and especially my fan club from Austria is here. So I see all the banners hanging on the tribune, which was a great feeling. So this pushed me even a bit more to perform well. So it was a big help to get the support.
I bet. Fantastic, Maxi. I'm going to grab Liam now. Hopefully, there's Liam, yeah. Sorry. So Liam Lawson here, the pole man. Congratulations, it's your first pole in DTM.
Yeah.
So can I see a big smile?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It feels nice. It's nice, especially in the car I'm driving, to do it around this track is pretty special. We knew coming in this track suited our car quite nicely. It's lots of high-speed corners. Our car sits really flat and nice through them. So, yeah, it's nice to start the weekend like this after the last couple of weekends hasn't been ideal. So we need to continue this now, I guess. It's nice to start the weekend like this. Hopefully we can convert it into some good points in the race.
Good luck for the race later on. Thank you so much, Liam. And we've got Arjun Maini here, who is in P3. Hey, Arjun. Hello. Congratulations. Fantastic for you. You're P3 as a newcomer in the DTM. So what can you do from there?
No, I mean, it's a good qualifying, first of all, best of the season, and I mean, you're so close to the front, so of course anything is possible. We just need to work now to go through the data from yesterday, because we missed FP2, so just to see where to go setup-wise for the race, and then we go from there.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you so much, Arjun, and now here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, well, no reason why Arjun Maini can't kick on from here. 3rd place, good spot as well, because he's going to be on the inside right behind Liam Lawson going into that first corner, and the pace is good. But as you said, just a bit of a question mark over race setup, having missed that crucial second free practice session yesterday. Max Scotts has been Mr. Consistent so far this year. He's only in 1 race not picked up championship points so far this season. Picked up a win and some podiums, and he gets the gap down at the top of the championship table as well. And then Liam Lawson with that terrific effort, the only driver into the 1:27. So super slow-mos then of our top 3 drivers from the first qualifying session of the weekend here at the Red Bull Ring. 3rd place for Arjun Maini, 1 minute 28.240 seconds. Another Mercedes, Max Scotts, just ahead of him and on the front row of the grid. The driver second in the championship with a 1:28.122 seconds. But starting on pole position for the first time in DTM in a Red Bull liveried car here at the Red Bull Ring, it's going to be Liam Lawson for Ferrari. Brilliant lap, 1:27.851 seconds. That's your top 3 for this afternoon's race. And that's just about it from me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box. But let's hand back now to Verena Vries.
Thank you to our commentator. And yeah, that was the first qualifying this weekend here in Spielberg. And we're really looking forward to an exciting race later on. And now we're going to enjoy the sunshine and have a look around here. And we'll see you later on for the race. So here are the highlights. Enjoy.